It's not getting you more jacked. It's not making you money. So, yes, it is a waste of time. What are we talking about? We're talking about classical music. And I'd say there's three ways that classical music is genuinely a waste of time. But I will get into the three reasons why I still practice classical music on a regular basis. The first one that I want to bring up is it's not a great way to make money. And you may go, wait, what in the world are you talking about? There's tons of things that aren't a great way to make money, but are still worthwhile to do. Reading books, hobbies, video games, whatever. They can be great uses of your time, but they may not be the best way to make money. Well, here's what I mean by that. Let's imagine you want to go into music. If you learned how to produce, if you learn how to play pop music to the level that you can be in a wedding band, if you learn to teach, all of these are actually fantastic ways to make a living while being an artist. Actually performing classical music at a high level is one of the worst. That's what I mean by not a great way to make money. It takes a ton of time to make progress. This is point number 2. Think about producing something on a computer. You watch an hour tutorial, it teaches you how to pull in some tracks, some loops, then you watch another hour tutorial about mixing, then you watch another hour tutorial about mastering, and boom, you're a producer. On the other hand, you spend an hour lesson, then you spend a week practicing, then another hour lesson, then you spend a week practicing, and then 3 months later you can play Old MacDonald Had a Farm. I'm being a little facetious here. Of course, it can be a lot faster than that, but it takes a ton of time to get good at classical music. And again, you can find things that are just as productive, just as fun, just as enjoyable, that don't take so much time. Number 3, if all you're wanting to do is make an impact in other people's lives or your own, you want to raise that enjoyment factor, well, it can come from so many other sources. You can find so many different ways to do it very quickly, even in music. Again, learning a little pop music, even jazz is in many ways much more approachable than classical music. So why do I practice classical music, and why might I even advocate that it may be a worthwhile thing for you to do as well? The first thing I'll say is doing hard things is hugely beneficial to your mental health, especially if they take a lot of time. Why is this the case? I think it's because if you really look at where we're at right now, the world has kind of figured out a way to maximize the amount of dopamine, that chemical in our brain that says, hey, that was awesome, at the same time as minimizing the effort. And I think we're smarter than that. I think our subconscious kind of sees that and realizes how cheap it is. And ultimately, we understand that we are cheapening everything and ourselves in the process. When we do something that has a time-measured, time-honored difficulty threshold, and we accomplish something difficult that you can measure and put against other things in the universe, then we can look at that and be like, oh, I'm proud of that. I really made a difference there. And that cannot be overstated. It really does allow you to have a lot more confidence and a lot more good feelings. Also, when you're going through the day, this is the reason why I like working out too, and I like running. You do something and you go into it and you go, I don't want to do this. This feels terrible. I don't want to do this. But by the end, you now can look back and go, I actually accomplished something today. And if this is too much, you can start out with really easy ones like doing the dishes, vacuuming, and then, play some scales, and then play a little bit of classical music. All of them do the same thing, which is I made an impact in myself and in the world right now. The second thing I'll say is patience is a competitive advantage in the modern world. Think about even being successful somewhere like YouTube. If I can be more patient than you, that means that I will last longer than you. And if you really look at who's successful on these platforms and successful in the world, period, it's most likely the person who's consistent for longer, not necessarily the person who's more talented or more creative or smarter. Because ultimately, if you give up, you're done. You're toast. I remember back in college, there were so many piano players that were better than me, sorry, I can't speak, better than me at the piano. But ultimately, I surpassed them because they gave up. They got tired, they got bored, they got discouraged. So if you are able to keep yourself patient and keep that long-term vision, it is a competitive advantage in everything. The final thing that I will say, and this is a personal one, but feel free to resonate with this and take it on yourself, is I genuinely like the challenge. It feels very different than any other type of music, any other thing I do practicing classical. And so if you feel the same way, that is really the one thing that I would definitely say really matters. Should you practice classical? Well, what are your goals? What are you really trying to accomplish? And how does that fit in your life? Do you have a lot of things that are super long-term focused? Or do you have a real day-to-day, I put in my 9 to 5 and I'm done? I would say the more that you sit on that side where you're just doing day-to-day stuff, the more valuable it would be to have something long-term, long goal focused that really helps propel you and make you keep moving on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I'm Robert Monroe. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. It really, really helps. Like, comment below if you think that classical music's a waste of time and if you're going to practice anyway. I'll see you next time. Peace.